Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Happy weekend. I can't believe the weekend is here again. I'm popping by with another project for you using my new release, just to give you some ideas now that some of you are receiving some of your stamps. So I'm going to begin with a piece of Pink Frog Smooth card, which is 4 inches by 6 inches. So it's the same size as our snippets. So it's 4 by 6. I've then cut a mat 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And then a card blank 5 by 7 inches. So we're going to work on our piece, and I think we'll do it this way this time. And what I'm going to do is, let's just, this is what I do all the time. So I want my low tack tape, which I should have got before the video started, but that's me all over. And I'm just sort of working my fingers across the low tack tape just to remove a little bit of that tackiness. So I think we're just going to have around about there. No precise measurements. We don't want any precise measurements, mainly because Tracy can't do it, and you know, that's not something that Tracy is good at, is measuring. So let's just reduce that tackiness again. There we go. So just masking off the bottom area. I don't need to go right down the bottom, but just masking off that lower area. That's it. So what I'm going to do is, I've masked off the lower area. I just haven't bothered with this bit here, but it's masked off, so I'm not going to add any colour below there. So what I'm going to do now, let's pick this up. I'm going to take stamp set, it's Acer Officer 1007. And what I'm going to do, because I've handled this card quite a bit, so I'm just going to rub over with my anti-static bag, just to prevent any of the embossing powder going where I don't want it to. So I'm going to use the background stamp, which works beautiful with florals, with a whole mix of different things. So I love using this background stamp. So I need this to be loose and not stuck down. I'm going to take my Versamark ink and just ink some of the area in the middle. And around the edges as well, it doesn't matter. So I'm randomly inking, in other words, Tracy. So what I'm going to do is not think about it too much and just place some of that inking just down onto the background of my card, the upper half of the card, the upper bit of the card. Now I can't see anything, neither can you, which is really helpful. So let's move that out of the way, and we'll just sprinkle my white embossing powder. And I can't see what I've got until I sprinkle that white embossing powder, and hopefully you can see that lovely random little touches of background. So let's just tip that back. I will have to put my arm across the camera, I do apologise. There we go. And then let's add a little bit more random stamping. So we'll ink that up again with our Versamark watermark ink pad, or whatever sticky ink pad or make that you use is absolutely fine. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of that stamping. Just there we go. And I'm not pressing too hard. Again, I can't see a thing. So there you can see we've got a little bit of a random background. Now, because you won't have hit every area with your stamp, so some areas will be more random than others, and also the stamp, I've distressed some of the areas as well, which is what I like. Right. So I'm trying to do different projects so it appeals to different people, because I know, you know, not everybody can like everything that you do. That's the way it is in the creative industry. We can't all like everything. So I am aware of that. So I'm trying to do varying projects so that something appeals to everyone, if that makes sense. Let me just grab a piece of kitchen roll. There we go. And I can't tell whether I've got bits all over here or not. Let me just wipe that. And then I'm just going to heat my heat tool up. And you can see the embossing just there, just in the top half. There's a little bit on my low-tack tape, but that doesn't matter. So I'm just heating the heat tool up. I've sort of moved it away from the camera just so that you're not concentrating on the heat tool. And I'm heating that heat tool up because there's no point me going to the card until the heat tool has got to temperature. So we just let that grab hold. Tracy can't pick up. And then I'll just heat and melt the embossing powder. It takes a few moments just to get going, but once it starts, and you're away. So just be patient with that embossing. Just take your time. And once you've melted an area of your embossing, just move it along to the next area. I'm just sort of lifting this up away from my non-stick craft sheet, just so that I don't spend half the time heating my non-stick craft sheet as well. Plus, if I lift it a little bit, if I'm honest with you, I can see the embossing a little bit easier. If I leave it flat, I can't see the embossing quite as well. So there we go. And it's quite easy once you've started embossing. You can see quite easily where you've missed, especially if you hold it up like me. Have I got that area? There we go. So let's just place this out of the way. So you can see that I've got that. There you go. You can see the glossiness of the leaves. I can also see where I've missed. So there's a little bit at the top that I've missed. Are you going to go? There we go. Now what I need to do is just let that cool down a little bit. I don't want to sort of blend my colours onto the heat of the card. I'm just going to get a piece of copy paper. Do you ever mess with something, you know, like you're sort of trying to pick something up and then it takes you several minutes? You can't, like I was trying to get one single sheet of copy paper then and I couldn't separate the copy paper. Typical. So what I'm going to do is just make sure that, it doesn't matter, I've got the low tack tape there, but I don't want the lower half of the card being affected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use mustard seed. Can you tell that I'm into mustard seed at the moment? I do quite like mustard seed. So I'm going to use my cut and dry foam. You can use your makeup brushes, you can use your makeup sponges, you can use whatever works for you. I'm using the cut and dry foam. And then what I'm going to do is just blend that colour just over my card. I should be able to just work without that actually, because I've got enough low tack tape on there that it covers. Okay, so that's the mustard seed. Then I'm going to use spiced marmalade. So I'll pick up that spiced marmalade. And just use the spiced marmalade. And then I'm going to use my seedless preserves. Now I can actually turn the card around and use the seedless preserves this way. Just use that seedless preserves. I just use whatever blending tools I've got. Now with the colours that are still remaining on here, I'm going to blend out the lines. So just blending out those lines. So going back with the colour that's on my cut and dry foam and just blending those lines. Now you can mop this up with a spare piece of card if you wish. Just be aware, you know, when you're mixing purple with certain colours, you can make mud when you start blending with water. So just be aware of that. Right, let's just move that out of the way. So I've got my leaves on there, which look beautiful. I'm just going to spritz my kitchen roll now with a tiny bit of water. And then I'm just going to wipe over, as you can see, a clean piece of kitchen roll, a little bit of water, not drowning it, and then wipe again. And finally another spritz and wipe again. So you've got that embossing powder that resists the ink and it works beautiful. Where I've distressed the leaf, the ink sticks inside that, because if you look at the stamp here, I've distressed some of those leaves on purpose, because when you do a technique like this, the colour then sticks to that, so you get a different effect. So just beautiful. That just works really nicely. Works lovely, doesn't it? So now that's all the masking off I need to do. So let's just remove the low tack tape. And you can see I'm being careful the way I remove the low tack tape. You can keep that if you wish and reuse that, no problem at all. Move that out of the way. I'm just going to give my fingers a little bit of a wipe. Now, if you wanted to put that all over your card, doesn't it look fantastic? Doesn't that look just beautiful? I absolutely love it. I then want to add, I've got so many things here. Let's just place it there for now. I then want to add a leaf and a floral. So I'm going to use this leaf here that is from my Leafle stamp set. If you want the new release or the previous releases, I'll add my affiliate link to the All and Create shop. I'll add my affiliate link into the description. So I'm going to use this leaf here, which is stamp set 1004 Leafle. And we're going to take this leaf here. Let's just move this out of the way. There's nowhere to move it. Right. I'm trying to be good and use all pieces of scraps of card. That's a big scrap of card, that is, Tracy. So I'm going to use mustard seed, exactly the colours that I've got in the background. So mustard seed, a little bit of orange. So just use that orange as well. Mustard seed, spice marmalade, and then a little bit of seedless preserves. Now I'm not going to add water. I don't particularly want the purple to mix with the other colours so that I end up with brown. But these colours are perfect for that leaf. I should have left this on the acetate. It would have been easier to handle without the sticky backing. But I got too excited about creating. Just adore that. Just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So let's grab some scissors and then we can cut, oops, we can cut that leaf out. Let's cut our leaf out. Again, as I've always done, I'm leaving a little bit of a white border. Just cut this out. I've got my scissors stuck. There we go. So just leaving that white border. And then you can use the leaves spring, summer, autumn, winter. You know, you can use your browns, you can use sort of the very lush spring-like greens. They just never date, and that's what I love. I also love that you can use them standalone as well, which works really nicely. Just cut this out. I do love the leaf when it's cut out. So I've just echoed the colours that are in the background. Nothing I create is complicated, it's all very easy. But I like to change the projects each time as much as I can, or as much as I'm able, just so that it appeals to different tastes. So I've now got this and I've got some white space on there. I'm going to sort of bend the leaf a little bit just to give it sort of some dimension. So I'm just pinching just to give it a little bit of dimension. So this will go on here like this, and then you can add a sentiment if you wish. I'm also going to add a floral, and I'm going to add this lovely floral here. So this is from stamp set 995 Miracle Growth, so I'm going to use that one. And for me, as you know by now, if you've followed me long enough, you know I like my florals and my leaves. And what I try to do is when I create a release, I try to give you different shapes, different forms. And I like to spend time to offer you inspiration to give you lots of ideas. So let's just stamp this in black. So we'll just ink that up in black. You don't have to ink it in black. You can ink it in the colours that we've just done. No problem at all. Just allow that ink to soak into the card. Just give it time to absorb into that card. Now, if you want to do fussy cutting, lovely Anne-Marie, who's in my group, mentioned that she got 200 GSM pink frog card, and that was nice and easy to cut out if you've got dexterity problems. I love my 300 GSM card just because, you know, I just love the sturdiness of it. But, you know, there comes a time if we've got dexterity problems with our hands and fingers, if you want a little bit of a thinner card to use, well then the 200 GSM works beautifully. So thank you for that tip, Anne-Marie. I've now got my scissors stuck again. There we go. So again, I'm just going to leave a little white border. just to cut out that floral. And I'm just keeping my fingers away from the detail of the stamp, just so that I don't smudge that black ink. You can blot the ink just to prevent any smudging, just so that when you're cutting out, you've blotted the excess ink onto a piece of copier paper. I love this floral when it's cut out. It looks rather nice when it's cut out. Really appeals. There we go. Let's get rid of some of that card so we're not working with the thickness of the card. And I added the leaves because it really extends the compositions we can offer in our cards. So that works really well as well. Cut those out. And with this one, it just adds a touch of colour. You can just add a touch of colour and that works beautifully. The only thing I haven't done is pulled out any pens, because that's typical Tracy. She's not pulled out a single pen to colour, because I got the idea in my head, and then suddenly at the end thought, oh, and I'll add a little floral as well, and then didn't think about getting the colouring medium out. But that's me all over. Now if you wish, you can leave that in the black and white against the floral, but I want to add a colour. So what am I going to use? Tracy does no idea what she's going to use. Let's have a look. Now those professionals out there always swatch everything. I don't do swatches, mainly because I haven't got enough storage space to store everything. So I'm just going to look for some purples in here, because I just want some purpley colours. So I'm just going to pick out some purples. What are these colours? Some purples. Have we got any more purples? That might be more like it. And then I'll just swatch it on my paper. So I'm going to grab a piece of the card that I'm using as we speak, and just, these are my Zig Clean Real Brush pens, and I'm just going to sort of decide that's a definite yes. So it's that one. And what about this one? Maybe. Definitely not. Could that give a bit of... No, I don't want that either. There we go. So you made me mind up, didn't I? So I'm using my Zig Clean Real Brush pens, and this one is number 081. Where's the colour? I always forget where this is light violet, and this is 082. I didn't know they were the numbers together, which is purple. There you go. Little did I know. So I'm going to add a touch of the purple. Just to the petals. And you really don't need much colour with this one. And you can see I'm not doing anything professional. It's just a touch of that colour just on there. And what I'll do is I'll blend pen to pen. Now these are water reactive and you can blend them with water. And I'll just blend pen to pen. I'm not even going to bother adding any of the water because the petals are so fine. So I don't need to. I've just blended pen to pen. You can use your Inktense pencils, you can use your distress pencils, whatever you've got that you want to work with. Absolutely fine. So let's just move those out of the way. And then I'm just going to grab my gel pen. So we'll grab the gel pen and we'll just add some little dots just to our flower head, and just a little sort of a dot of white just on the petals. It just makes it, it gives the floral a little bit of shine. Just so, let me move that out of the way, just so that you can see that. A little bit of white makes it look like the petal is shining. So let's add these to our project. I keep getting up and down because then I forget I haven't added the adhesive. So let's take the adhesive. I'm going to use my pin flare. Just add the adhesive, and this is where I faff a little bit, and it works both ways. Now this one doesn't, it needs a little bit of adhesive on the stem. So we'll just add a little bit of adhesive on the stem, and then a little bit of pin flare just to give the dimension. There we go. And this is where I spend most of the time, sort of faffing. Just making sure that things are making contact with the card, just so that they are definitely stuck down. There we go. So I'm then going to use this stamp again, my Leafle, and I'm going to put Explore Nature, because I love that. I've got For Someone Special, 100% natural, the best is yet to come. Love it. So I'm going to use Explore Nature. Put this on my A7 acrylic block. There we go. And then I'll just ink that with black Nocturne ink. And then just decide where you want to place that. So I want it a bit closer now, so I need to push it up that way. So I'm going to fiddle with because I wanted the focal imagery in place, because I could have stamped the sentiment first, but in this case I couldn't, because I wanted to get the focal imagery in place first. And I do often faff. So don't press this sentiment too hard. You only need a little light press, allow it to soak in there, because it's just a nice fine sentiment. Don't press it too hard, because all you do then is it just squishes out, and you don't really want that. But I just love that. Just think it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I don't need any shading or anything on this one, because I like the white. So I'm going to add some splatters, just move it around and add some splatters to my background. There we go. Then we'll just wipe our area up. Don't know what I do with the kitchen roll. Well, I do. I hide it in the middle of everything else, just so that you can see that. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to add that to a black mat, which will make that pop beautifully. So let's add that to a black mat. Obviously a lot easier if you let things dry. before you adhere anything. Especially when you're working with wet Posca, not ideal to try and stick it down whilst it's still wet. So just placing that down. Doesn't that make it pop on the black? I just think that works really nicely. And then we'll add to that to a 5 by 7 inch card blank. Now I've got this black mat, so I just want to add a little pop of black just to the focal imagery. Just press that down. There you go. Just so that you can see the beauty of the card. So I'm just going to grab my little bird. So I'm going to use the Scarecrow stamp set and use the little bird. Remember to put the lid on the adhesive, Tracy, because I know what I'm like. I'm just going to stamp him in black. You could also stamp him in different colours. It doesn't have to be black. Let me just place that there till the ink dries. Scissors. And then I'm just going to cut my little bird out. Just to give that a little bit of dimension. And then he becomes my little embellishment to add to the card. There we go. And then just add a few touches of white. Then we can bring our... I can't pick my little beard up now. Come on, Tracy. There we go. One disadvantage of having nails. So let's just add a little bit of adhesive to the bird. I'm just going to add him there. That's it. I just feel then that black sort of echoes the black of the mat. So I hope you enjoyed that little demo. I really enjoyed just creating a nice easy card, but I adore that. I'm going to have to do another one with that background, with that leaf stamp. So love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.